My name's Heidi and my husband is Chris, and this is the start of our adventures on the Heart of Gold. Now, some of you will know the extent of what happened on the maiden voyage, but anyone new won't have a clue what happened. Um, so strap in, ladies and gentlemen, grab yourself a cuppa, and I will take you through the events of what happened after we collected our boat in Gibraltar. What you're seeing now is the marina in La Linea, where our boat was stuck, waiting to go through customs for us to take delivery in Gibraltar. Luckily for us, it was a quick walk across the border, across the runway, and we were on board. So after this, we then left the boat and waited for it to be delivered into Gibraltar. So after a few days of a lot of heat and trying to equip and get the boat ready, Dave and Chris left Gibraltar on the 18th of July, and me being the sensible person flew home whilst they did the hard work. So picture this, the start of the epic voyage. So you've got two intrepid sailors, Captain Chris and his trusty mate Dave, setting sail on the Heart of Gold from the sun-soaked shores of Gibraltar, with the iconic rock fading into the distance. Their destination? The shimmering Isle of Corfu, some 1,300 nautical miles away across the Mediterranean. And what unfolded over the next 2 weeks was a whirlwind of high seas, rogue waves, and enough boat-related shenanigans to fill a pirate's logbook. This is their story, a blend of chaos, camaraderie, and some seriously impressive DIY. Bearing in mind it's a brand new boat. So days 1 to 5, Gibraltar to the Balearics, a rocky start, pun intended. The adventure kicked off on, as I said, July the 18th, with Chris and Dave waving farewell to Gibraltar Marina, the famous rock looming proudly behind them. The Heart of Gold was a beauty, but let's just say she wasn't quite ready for a close-up. A bit like a rock star showing up to a gig without tuning their guitar, the boat had a few quirks: no functioning autopilot, a radar that decided to go on strike, a missing water tank, and Velcro cushion fixes that were about as useful as a paper anchor. Oh, and the gas supply, nowhere to be found. Still, the duo's spirits were high, buoyed by the thrill of the open sea and a bottle of wine from the night before, possibly one glass too many. The first hiccup came when the autopilot threw a tantrum and refused to cooperate. No big deal, right? Except then a 30-metre floating rope, painstakingly installed by Dave, snapped in the first big wave with a bang that echoed like a cannon. Downstairs, chaos reigned as unsecured items staged a mutiny, sliding and crashing in a symphony of disorder. Miraculously, the 6 long-stemmed wine glasses survived, a small victory worth celebrating. Heidi, if she'd been there, would have been horrified at the mess, but impressed by the glasses' resilience. Sails up, the Heart of Gold hit an exhilarating 8 knots, riding force-6 winds and towering waves, but the thrill came with a side of terror when Dave, in a moment of navigational brilliance, sent the boat into 3 full circles near some rocks while attempting to reef the sails. Chris, ever the calm captain, steered them through the night, dodging supertankers in what was dramatically described as almost becoming the meat in a tanker sandwich. With a reassuring 1.9 miles to spare, a 180-degree turn, and Chris gently pointed out, "Mate, Spain's supposed to be
Okay,
on our
this
left."
is the lake
By
between,
day 3, the
well,
wind
actually,
vanished, forcing them to motor to avoid any run-ins with African pirates or their scary sounding coastguards. Dave learned a painful lesson about sunscreen, his legs turning lobster red, while Chris proved his culinary prowess with yogurt and fruit, cheese and olive salads, and pork medallions. The duo battled on, sorting emergency ladders and fire extinguishers amidst the chaos. A tuna briefly teased them, snapping the line after a spirited chase, leaving Dave to declare fishing was over for the trip. By day 5, they found their rhythm, hitting 8 knots again as they approached Mallorca. But the fridge had other plans, popping open 3 times and scattering its contents across the floor. Mental note, more grab rails, some carpet, and definitely lock those cupboards. Diesel and water anxiety crept in, but Chris, the MacGyver of the Mediterranean, rigged a Spanish courtesy flag and a safety rope, keeping spirits high despite the heat and a finicky air conditioner. Days 6 to 8, Mallorca to Cagliari. Sorry if that's not how that's pronounced. Storms, sewage, and Sardinian sun. The journey from Mallorca to Cagliari was a roller coaster of highs and lows. Night watches settled into 2 hours on, 2 hours off routine, with Dave catching Z's on deck under the stars. A hunt for Wi-Fi led to a brief shelter on an island's lee, where Chris wrestled with water apps and weather apps, and route planning. Orca still sulking, wasn't much help. Strong winds, possibly force 6 or 7, turned the boat into a shaky snow globe, with kettles, cushions, and tech gear sliding everywhere. Then came well, uh, the problem with the block toilet. That required Chris to don his DIY hazmat suit and clear the mess. A heroic feat that left Dave in awe and slightly nauseated. As if that wasn't enough, Channel 16 crackled with news of a major storm. With Starlink down and no safe harbour in sight, Chris and Dave secured the boat, stashed Heidi's precious Gibraltar purchases, and set up safety lines. The Genoa sail pushed to its limits, tore in the 40-knot winds, a casualty of their Forrest Gump-esque enthusiasm for embracing the storm. After a nerve-wracking night navigating swells, they limped into Cagliari's Portus Corrales just as the storm was due to hit, mooring with wobbly legs and toasting their survival with well-earned beers. Days 9 to 10, Cagliari. Regrouping, repairs, and revelry, Cagliari was a much-needed breather. A spilled water incident, or possibly an iPad short, revealed a double redundancy trip switch, and toggling the radio fixed the VHF, though the handheld had been a champ. The autopilot was officially declared faulty, and the battering from the storm Beaufort 7 gusting 8 explained the boat's growing list of ailments. Chris rewired a shore power plug through, though it tripped at high draw, while Dave contributed croissants and a cuppa to the cause. A €6 cheeseburger and a bottle, or maybe two, of monkey red wine fueled their recovery alongside pizza and more beer. Passport control. The duo tackled their checklist: new Genoa sail, extra water bottles, secured gear, and waterproof covers for electronics. Lesson learned from the water spill fiasco: tech support for the boat's Beta Genset 2 system was a 3-hour ordeal, revealing the Heart of Gold was one of only 4 boats worldwide with this high voltage setup. Chris, ever the problem solver, cracked error codes and got the system running, earning Dave's admiration on this trip. Days 11 to 16, Cagliari to Corfu, Turtles, Tempers and Triumph. Well, with the boat shipshape, Chris and Dave Chris and Dave set off for Corfu with their checklist complete, full diesel, 250 litre, 250 litres of diesel, weather downloaded, and everything secured. Day 11 brought smooth sailing along Sardinia's coast with a successful port tack, boosting morale. But finicky winds and no autopilot made the night tricky, with a boom threatening to swing wildly. Day 12 was a windless slog, the engine chugging at a frustrating 4.5 knots. Turtles popped up to say hello, but the lack of sail action grated on their sailor souls. Chris's daily refrain: today's challenge is introduce new headaches, a regen system on the fritz, batteries refusing to equalise, and an overheating CPU. Chris's ingenious fix, using a portable air conditioner in the engine compartment, saved the day, proving necessity is indeed the mother of invention. By day 13, Sicily's sunrise greeted them and they hugged the coast for Wi-Fi. The aftermath of the toilet still lingered, with Dave suspecting a missing return valve. Mercifully, no repeat performance. Day 14 brought a chaotic strait filled with fishing boats, ferries, and of all things a sea roundabout, plus a fatal server error that Chris fixed with a full restart. Diesel concerned loomed again, 40% left, about 115 litres, but they opted to sail where possible with a 15-litre reserve for the final approach. Day 15 was a highlight, with 20-knot winds pushing them towards Corfu's hill. Chris's DIY shelter provided shade in the scorching heat, and a charcuterie lunch paired with beer felt like a Michelin-starred moment. But day 16 tested their resolve. A 6 a.m. engine failure and branch bus errors sent Chris crawling through hatches for another restart. The diesel at 18%, they threaded the needle through Corfu's northern islands, calculating they had just enough fuel for the final push. As Corfu's cloudy silhouette appeared, the winds turned friendlier and the Heart of Gold glided towards its destination. Chris and Dave, battered but unbowed, celebrated their improved sail positioning and a plan that mostly held. With 9 hours of diesel and a 6-hour run and a 15-litre reserve, they were confident. The lack of beer was their only real complaint. Final thoughts. Chris and Dave's journey was a masterclass in resilience, resourcefulness, and rolling with the punches. From snapped ropes to torn sails, blocked toilets to stormy seas, they tackled every challenge with grit and grin. Chris, the DIY wizard and culinary king, kept the Heart of Gold afloat, while Dave brought humour, music taste, and the occasional navigational whoopsie. If Heidi had been there, she'd have cheered their tenacity, gasped at the chaos, and probably insisted on securing those wine glasses herself. Here's to the Heart of Gold and its fearless crew. May their next adventure be just as wild, but with a working autopilot and a few extra beers. So, what I should tell you all is that this boat is a Dufour 41 that we bought from new, and as you can probably work out for yourselves, it's the only one of the Dufour 41 that's been fitted with this hybrid electric system that we know of that is out there in the wild. So I don't think it was ever intended to be tested in its first ever outing to this degree, but yes, they had a bit of a challenge, and we're now currently in Corfu, where I joined the boat a couple of weeks ago. We haven't been able to get the boat out because we're still waiting for B&G specialists nearby to come and have a look at the system, because there are cables missing, which is why the autopilot isn't working, so that we need to get those installed. We've dropped the poorly sail off to some local ladies who are going to have a look at it. We've now got we've got a tender. We're waiting for the electric motor for that to turn up. And some missing cushions, and there's warranty works and various bits and pieces that need to be done. The boat wasn't sea trialed before we picked it up, or certainly not to any great extent. So we've obviously encountered a few bugs and bits and pieces. So what I will do in another video is I will go through our journey to get here, which started last July, so 2024, and what led us to this point. But I won't bore you with all that now. I'm just going to leave you with some more video of what looks like quite calm seas, but it obviously wasn't. And you'll see in parts of the video where there's appears to be mess and things over the seat, but this will be where the ceilings fell down. They're pop-up ceilings, so they were just popped back up, but it's obviously during the manufacturing process there's a lot of dirt and grit and insulation that has sort of fallen out. But so this is the start of our journey, and my very first video, so please, as I say, be kind. It's my first editing, job that I've done. So I will will yeah, we'll keep you posted, and as soon as we can get the boat out, there'll be footage of our sails around the bays, and yeah, and even more news. Okay, thanks very much, everyone, and I will leave you with our song that was compiled for us by a family member, and I hope you enjoy it as much
Okay.
as we do. Thank you.